All right, the Reds, it's the second look. We're looking back at Liverpool's win at Brighton. What Jurgen Klopp described as a mature performance, the most mature performance of the season. With me, Gareth Roberts, to talk about mature performances are two mature men. Ian Ryan.
He's done his there, mate. I'm not as mature as you two. I'm just looking.
Ian Ryan and Kev Walsh. We'll start off with the stats from the game. Liverpool had 71% of the ball. They had 10 shots to Brighton's 7. 3 of Liverpool's were on target. None of Brighton's were on target. Liverpool had 7 corners to Brighton's 2. And pretty much any statistic that you want to consider, really, Liverpool were better at it. Liverpool had 3 big chances. They had 8 shots inside the box to Brighton's 5. They were better at the passing. They were better at accurate passing. They were better at crosses, better at dribbles. They won more duels. They won more in the air than Brighton. So all in all, you know, the stats say a job well done, really. And just to go into what Klopp was saying about it, he did say, as I say, most mature performance of the season. He's talked about this maturity before as well. He talked about it after Wolves. But on this one, he said it was not the best performance of the season in a few departments. But from a maturity point of view, I would say it's the most mature performance of the season. He also talked about we're not the Harlem Globetrotters and we're here to deliver results. He says on a good day, everyone can win football games. On an average day, not a lot of teams can win football games. And on bad days, only a few can win football games. Today was not a bad day, but it was a difficult day. It was a difficult day because we have to say that Brighton are doing really well. He also talked about it as like a race as well, which I liked. He said, if you fall from the horse as a rider, the best thing you can do is immediately get back on it. To use that saying in England, you probably have more horses than we do. We probably stole it from you. Anyway, it's cool, it's good, and it's important that we didn't make a fuss of the 2 defeats. Now, in a weekend where Spurs have had a big fall, if you like, in terms of it being a race, it was just vital, wasn't it, Ian, that we won this game. And there was, I think he's right to talk about maturity, isn't he? Because it wasn't swashbuckling, but it was controlled.
No. I think it's hard to, when you've gotten beat, when you lose to City and you're thinking, right, what's the reaction going to be? That was the key for me because we've not seen us have to do that, have we? You know, we only lost 1 game all season, so you're thinking, right, just make sure you react really well, Reds. And the manager's absolutely spot on to call it mature performance. It wasn't swashbuckling, but we were chatting off air before. Doesn't need to be that, Robbo. You know, throughout the season, you want to see different things, and I think we've seen elements of where Liverpool have been able to be swashbuckling. You know, there's different parts of games, whether it be 10 minutes here, 50 minutes there, or full games like Arsenal, for instance. We were great for most of that game. But now, it's just about getting results. And the manager's right to say it was mature. It was really, really professional. I think first half, we don't give Brighton anything. We control a game from start to finish. I think it's been referenced already. You know, they're a side that they don't lose many football matches at home. You know, they're a decent side. I think they've only lost 6 or 7 since they've come up. So it was never going to be an easy game. But Liverpool don't ever look like they're under threat. They don't ever look like they're under pressure. Once they do get the 1-0, you kind of big sigh of relief, really. You don't think at all that this game's going to kind of slip away from us. So I think the manager's right to say that. I was really, really pleased with it. And I think, you know, after losing a game, you want to see a reaction because that's where the pressure comes. Yes, we've lost games in different competitions, but this was a league match. And I think I said on another show, you've got to kill any hope that Spurs have got, that City have got, and we do that, we kill that hope, and then we go on to Crystal Palace next week.
And Liverpool have changed, haven't they, Kev? You know, because we all bought into the Klopp thing, the rock and roll football and all that sort of stuff. But he's actually quite conservative now in terms of how he's getting Liverpool to play and how Liverpool played first half, as Ian mentioned. So there's an article in the Echo today from Andrew Beasley, well worth a read as usual. Base tune to Red Ears on Twitter as well, worth a follow. And he's saying there that this is the 5th 1-0 win of the season in all competitions, the 4th in the league. And the Reds have only had that scoreline more times in 4 of the previous 26 Premier League campaigns. So it's not been typical of Liverpool to get these type of results. And that could be the difference, couldn't it, between winning the league and not?
That is the difference between winning the league because in previous seasons when you've got to beat Watford 3-2, you've got to play for 90 minutes. So you've got to be on the go for 90 minutes to beat them 3-2, to beat, I don't know, Leicester 4-3, or all these swashbuckling games where they're exciting to watch, but they take it out of your legs. Whereas now Liverpool, that game on Saturday, they just strangled the life out of the first half, knowing full well he'd get a chance to score, and when he did, they put it away. And knowing really, if Brighton scored, it'd be more of a fluke than anything else. So we played the game. That won't have took much out of the legs, and we've got 10 days now to rest up before Leicester. Imagine the tactical like awareness they'll have going into that game against Leicester. They'll know what the Leicester players are going to do before the Leicester players do. So that allows us to have that. You can work them hard in training because that was basically a training session itself on Saturday, and that's hopefully what's going to win us the league.
And as well, I mean, in terms of a game maturity, but Liverpool, you know, Glenn Murray's a threat. He's awkward. He's hard to deal with. You saw him sort of take Fabinho out early-ish into the game, and Fabinho seemed to get him back for that, which was great to see. But in the past, though, you've seen Liverpool side struggle with that type of player, and they absolutely bossed him on Saturday. A game from Beasley's column. I'm not going to read the whole thing out, Andrew, don't worry. But he says in Glenn Murray's 66 minutes on Saturday, he won only one of the 9 aerial duels he contested. Gini Wijnaldum got the better of him once, Fabinho twice, and Van Dijk 5 times. So that tells you that, you know, obviously Liverpool were like, okay, just don't let him into the game, don't let him anywhere near it. There's also another line out there about that. They knew that Brighton were good from set pieces. They got a good record. They got 2 big centre-halves who were good at getting on the end of things. And they hardly gave them a chance in respect to that as well. Klopp had obviously talked to them about not giving away stupid fouls and stuff like that. There was a little bit of a one at the end, wasn't there, where you were like, oh, I don't want to watch this one come in. But we were all right. Yeah,
they've been good from corners, and we don't really give them a sniff. And I think in terms of going with Glenn Murray, I was maybe a little bit surprised because I thought, well, he's not going to get a lot of joy from Van Dijk. And I think they were thinking maybe he can pull on to Fabinho and get a little bit of joy there with him not being a natural defender. But your problem is, from Brighton's point of view, he's 6'2" still, you know what I mean? So I thought they may have gone with the Romanian lad, Florian Andone, who's actually coming and done all right at times. But they go for the more traditional English centre-forward, big lad. But he just gets no joy. He has that one header midway through the first half, but I think he's really trying to put it right in the corner, but he gets it all wrong and it goes over the bar. But we didn't give them a sniff, and I think that's what I've been really, really pleased about this season, is that from a controlling football matches point of view, we've been excellent throughout the season. You know, you're always thinking, and I think there's a belief thing coming into it now, where Liverpool they don't look like they're going to slip up. They don't look like there's a mistake on the horizon, where in previous years and the previous managers, you're always waiting for that. Oh, that game looks tricky. At the minute, nothing really looks that tricky, because I think we're able to handle different challenges that are put in front of us, and we can win football matches in so many different ways. And I think, for me personally, you know, you dream about winning the league, don't you? You start to think about it, you go to bed thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it, you're thinking about it all the time. But I don't know whether I've ever really, truly believed it. But after Saturday, because of that whole we've got to show a reaction thing, I started to think to myself, you know what, there's every chance this fucking happens. Yeah. There's every chance it happens. And then I listened to the Pink after the match, and obviously it was in the concourse, and all the fans are singing. And you could put it down to like, that's just a load of pissed up lads and girls having a good time after an away match.
Which is what I know it should be, by the way.
But it should be like that. But I didn't take that away from it. What I took was, it sounded like a load of fans who believed in something special was happening. That, you know what, you're not going to move us. You're not going to move us from this position. And if you are going to move us, you're going to have to do something really, really special to do it. And I think there's this huge belief now running right through the fan base, which will get back to the play, because it always does. You know, they'll hear the kind of songs, they'll see the scenes in pubs and bars afterwards. And I just think that whole momentum thing now is with Liverpool, and we've seen it before in other seasons, 05 being the big one, where once we're riding that wave, we're a hugely emotional club, and once we are riding that wave as a fan base and players alike, it's really hard to stop. And if you're Man City looking at that now, you're thinking, fucking hell, Liverpool aren't going anywhere. But the big thing for me was, and I think it hurts them more, the fact that it was 1-0. You know, when you look across, you think, if it had been 4-5, you go, 4-5. Because it was 1-0, and a penalty, I think that hurts you even more as an opposition team. You think, oh, for fuck's sake, 1-0. You know what? Give us 16 more of them, Reds. I'll take 16 more of them right now. Yes, I love the swashbuckling stuff. I love the great football where you're cutting through teams. But there's a lot to be said where you're just shutting teams down, controlling the game, controlling the football match, and just nicking it 1-0.
Well, Merseyside will, as a collective, pull on its Connor Cody, Wolves top tonight, and hope for something happening there when Man City play. But Neil now, with the tactics board, he's going to look at what happened in the Brighton v Liverpool match.
It was interesting with Brighton's approach as to how they were trying to get at Liverpool. I don't know if it was factored into because of the injury to Alexander-Arnold, but they were quite lopsided, Brighton, and I think Liverpool were as well. Wijnaldum and Henderson were looking to help out on this side of the pitch and cover Alexander-Arnold a little bit. And if you look at the first half average position, Bong, the left back, is pushed really high up the pitch in order to put some pressure on on this side and see if they could get some joy. On the whole, though, what Brighton did really, really well was keep a pretty solid, almost line of 4 and quite a compact, narrow sort of 5 in and out of possession where they were able to frustrate Liverpool, something a little bit like this. And what Liverpool started to do was look to go over the top all the time, and I think that part of that was to create some space between these lines here and see if Liverpool could then operate in these spaces. It didn't really work first half, but second half as Brighton tired, that space began to open up. It was Brighton's decision to make the game sane. I think that was what Liverpool wanted all the way through, and Liverpool just went with it. It would have been interesting if Houghton had decided to throw the kitchen sink at it, but before the match, and even looking at his post-match comments, he's perfectly happy with his side's approach and the way in which they went about their business. He wanted to be in the game with 10 to go. He got that like he did at Anfield. He wanted to frustrate Liverpool as much as possible. He had enormous respect for the Reds. And Liverpool just controlled the game throughout most of it, dictated the tempo, looked after the ball a great deal, perhaps looked after the ball a little bit too much, some may say. But it was a performance where Liverpool yet again showed that no matter what you want to do with this Liverpool side, there used to be this old quote from Souness that if you wanted to play, we'll play. If you want to fight, we'll fight. Well, Liverpool at the minute have got this thing about them where if you want it to be a mad game, if you want it to be end-to-end, we'll go with you. Arsenal is an example of that one. If, though, you want it to be a controlled game, a quiet game, we'll find our way to be controlled and quiet and still get our victory. This side can win in a number of different ways. The game against Brighton is a great example of that.
Okay, thanks there to Neil. Liverpool, of course, with the win against Brighton, went 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. For me, that's a reason to go out and celebrate and enjoy yourselves. For other people, it's a reason to turn to social media and start slagging off the captain of Liverpool Football Club, Jordan Henderson. I mean, each to your own and all that. I get that he isn't everyone's cup of tea, and it's fair to say, well, understatement of the year, that he divides opinion of Liverpool fans. I thought we'd talk about it today because we get some comments that there's some kind of editorial line or view on Jordan Henderson at the Anfield wrap. I can assure you there isn't. I haven't asked these lads what they think. I've never asked anyone at the Anfield wrap what they think. Everyone just says what they think to the camera, to the microphone, whenever they like, and that takes us where it takes us. Sometimes it gets us massive media exposure and stuff like it did the other week. But on Jordan Henderson, if we run through his stats from this game, 90 minutes played, 107 accurate passes, which is 88% of the passes that he attempted. None of those were key passes. He played 11 long balls, 7 of them successfully. No shots, no shots on target, 1 shot blocked. He won 6 of his 8 duels, and he won 3 of his tackles attempted. Now, first half I watched this, and the people I was with when I was watching it, I was a bit like it felt there was opportunities at times where he could have forced it more with his passing. I thought he was quite conservative and quite safe at times. But then equally, I turned to Twitter at half time, had a bit of a look, and I seen Ken Early, who's great writer and good on the footy, I think. And he was talking about what a great first half performance from Jordan Henderson. So it's all beauty's in the eye of the beholder and all that kind of stuff. But given what we talked about in the first half of the show, the maturity thing, what do you think? This Jordan Henderson thing, he's constantly picked by Jurgen Klopp. Yeah. He's constantly picked by the previous manager. He's being given a new contract. He's captain of the football club. If he was as bad as some people make out, and they love to say it week after week, why is he getting picked all the time by the manager? Yeah. And so therefore, is it mad to maybe assume, to join the dots and say, he's doing exactly what the manager wants him to do?
Yeah, I think there's something around that where sometimes as fans, when you're watching the match, you don't actually think about what the player's been asked to do by the manager. Yeah. And as you rightly said, Robbo, he's getting picked on a regular basis, so Jurgen Klopp must be fairly happy with his performance. I think first half, I was watching it on telly in a boozer, so sometimes it's hard to see the full picture, in terms of where players are and stuff. I would say, I thought him and Gini struggled a little bit first half in terms of maybe feeding that front three. Credit to Brighton, I think they marshalled the front three fairly well. But it's sometimes hard to see, in terms of where those passing lanes are. It looked like Brighton were cutting off a lot of those and therefore forcing Wijnaldum and Henderson to maybe go a little bit sideways, a little bit backwards. I think you could maybe make a case for they could have been maybe slightly braver and been a bit more progressive with the passing first half. But I thought second half, both of them, you saw a real upturn in terms of performance and output. And I thought Henderson was really good second half. For all the things I've said there about the first half, I thought second half, you see the opposite of that. And they are braver with the ball, and they are more progressive, and they are punching stuff into the forward players. And actually, maybe first half, the forward players can do a little bit more in terms of offering themselves as well. I did say there, Brighton do marshal them well, but the likes of Shaqiri really struggled to get in the game. So I think sometimes you've got to take the overall kind of picture him really, rather than just say, well, he's not doing this or he's not doing that, when actually, you know, the manager could be asking for something totally different. And I think as fans, we don't always take that into account. But overall, I was happy with the likes of Henderson, because I think over the 90 minutes, he did a good job. I think first half, you could maybe, you know, point the finger a little bit at him and Wijnaldum, by the way, not just the Jordan Henderson thing. I think both centre mids could do more. But over the 90 minutes, no issues.
I think a little bit with Henderson, people, as you said, there must be a reason he gets into the team, and I think it's probably because he's as tactically astute of a player as we've got, so he understands exactly when he's given a role to play, exactly what he's been asked to do, and he will do that. And if it's to the detriment of the opinion of the fans, he doesn't care. And Wijnaldum's the same. Wijnaldum's he knows exactly how to play football. So if them two are look like they're struggling a little bit, you can probably look towards it being a tactical thing. And I think you've got to give a little bit of credit to Brighton. Klopp alluded to it in his post-match interview, where he said Brighton play a 4-5-1 system, but they play it like no other team in the league. He said they got them so well drilled, and he named the players who were cutting off the lanes. He said, and sometimes you've got to play through that. But we're struggling to break that down, but at no point in the game did I think, oh, Brighton are likely to score here. It was total control. And sometimes in a game, you're going to need a midfield that does total control. Sometimes you're going to need a midfield that'll absolutely just batter the door down and get through. But against Brighton there, that first half, no one was panicking at half-time, saying, oh, we haven't got a goal here. Whereas in previous seasons, if that had happened, you'd have been thinking, oh, they've managed to keep us out here, and is this the time it goes west? And as you said about the reaction after Man City, we didn't need that reaction because we're a better football team than everyone else in the league now. So we know that the players, they know Salah's going to get in the box, get a goal or get clipped. If that fella doesn't pull him down there, he scores in that chance. And the rest of the team, Salah had that other one where it come back to him after the James Milner cross. We had the Shaqiri one in the first half, the header.
The Firmino one as well, where Robbo almost puts up a play for him, but he just can't get his feet right, and he slides in and misses it. But...
So you put one of them away and it's 2-0, and you're starting to say, well, it's just another walk in the park stroll here, aren't you? So I think especially back to the Henderson thing is he's doing what he's been told to do, in my opinion, and he must be doing it well because he gets picked for all the big games.
Exactly.
It reminded me of the Watford game actually. You know, where first half it wasn't great, but then I think because we are moving the ball around so much, we're dominating possession, the other teams start to blow themselves out a little bit. And I think Brighton, you see that, you know, they're working really hard. They don't concede many goals at home, and they are rigid and they are well structured. But
there's a trust, isn't there?
Yeah,
there's a trust among Liverpool that they just, it feels like they know it will come.
Yeah,
and it's almost like, you know, you don't have to come out the blocks. I think fans demand that, don't they? I know I always say, I've said a million times on shows how I want a fast start and I want them in the faces and I want the early goal and all that. But it feels like Liverpool, and again, it's the maturity thing, isn't it? It feels as though they're just like, it'll come. And let them run round, as you say. We'll keep the ball. It's hard when you don't get a sniff of the ball. I mean, 71% possession. I know loads of people are cynical about possession and all that as a thing because Rodgers went on about it so much and things like that. But, you know, just literally, like anyone who's ever played football, it's horrible running after the ball, isn't it, if you're never touching it?
If you've got 71% possession, you're getting your rest in possession of the ball. Because if you've got 29% of the possession, I'm telling you, you're not getting any rest. Because if you've only got 29% of the ball, it means when you've got it, you're giving it away. And you're giving it away because the other team's harrying the life out of you to get it back. And then when you get it back, you can just relax a little bit. You can put it across the pitch. And that's our game. Knock at the other teams out. And how many times have you seen teams this year get to 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and they look like, if they could throw the towel in, then they just would because they're knackered. Because they've been chasing the ball for that long. Possession, it can be a useless stat if it's not used right, but you're not telling me Klopp's not using it right, because look how well we're at the top of the league, aren't we? So,
there's a purpose to it, there's an intent to it, where, you know, first half it is about moving the ball around the pitch, tiring them out, and then second half you see Van Dijk, you see Fabinho step a bit further up the pitch, maybe 10-15 yards, and then we strangle the life out of them, and then they can't get out, and they can't move. And what you've got there, especially with having a midfielder who can play centre half, he's comfortable on the ball, but Van Dijk's also like having a midfielder. He's so comfortable on the ball, whichever half the pitch you want to put him in, whether it's theirs or ours, he doesn't panic. He's so comfy moving it around, he'll take it under pressure. So Liverpool just strangle the life out of teams, and you see it in that Watford game, but the Brighton game reminded me a little bit of that. And again, you know, it's all about managing football matches and not maybe overexerting ourselves. You're seeing a team like Spurs, for instance, who look like they're in the red zone big time. And I know they're stretching themselves across a lot of different competitions, but Liverpool don't look like that at the minute. I think there's something around the front there where we maybe got to manage them a little bit differently because we haven't got quite the backup as maybe we have in other areas of the pitch. But at the minute, it's so hard to play against Liverpool because they run you fucking ragged, Robbo.
And as Kev said, though, you know, we got Palace at the weekend, but then after that, you know, they can all go and sit in an ice bath for 10 days if they want. Do you know what I mean? However Klopp sees best to manage it, you know, they can all go and put their feet up for a little bit. So, you know, all of a sudden, like, I know there was a huge moral outrage that we went out of the FA Cup, but all of a sudden that doesn't look so bad now, does it?
No, it doesn't, and I think we've all said it. I know Kev's being quite vociferous on the FA Cup and stuff. I just didn't want to hear it.
I wasn't asked because the league's that, it's the holy grail for us.
And I kind of get that, you know, don't get me wrong, nice to win trophies, but this season it's about winning the league title. That's what it's all about.
Final point for today, just pulled out that I also like about this group, this Liverpool team, the manager and all the players, what they say and how they're dealing with this whole situation of where they are right now. And I love the way they just keep saying, you know, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's just about the next game. And you know, when they're asked about City, they just say, well, City's out of our control. You know, that's classic sort of psychology of how to, you know, deal with a situation, deal with stress and things like that. But also, though, I like the fact that it's almost like they spot things that are going on in the wider football world and try and nip it in the bud. And what the point I'm getting to is what Robertson said at the weekend. So if you missed this, he came out about Mo Salah and he said he's not that type of player. He says, talking about diving, and he says every time it happens, we go back and everyone looks at the video and you go, well, it's not a dive, so how many times is it going to happen? I'm not sure if the Brighton players did say it was a dive or not, and I'll need to see it back. But I was at the edge of the box, and for me, it was a stonewaller. If people are starting to say Mo has gone down easily, it's not fair, because the one against Arsenal especially, he got clipped 3 times on his way down. They still appealed it, so it's a bit of desperation. But I like that he's coming out and doing that, because it's almost going, hang on, we don't want that to become a thing. We don't want the wider football world to get in the heads of referees and officials who might take charge of Liverpool in the future. So I'll come out and put the record straight, and that's spot on, isn't it, that he's done that?
It's not even just that, though, is it? It's the fact that Salah knows, because you've never seen Robertson and Salah on the pitch, like, with Lovren. It's like, do you know what I mean? They're, like, inseparable, aren't they, him and Salah? Whereas Robertson, you probably don't see them having that relationship as such. But Salah will look at him now and go, well, it's nice one for coming out and saying that. About, you know, because he doesn't have to do that. He can go on and say, it's a nice, easy win, and we've been very professional, the fans were great, and yeah, I'll see you later. But he's made the point to go out and say, listen, Salah's our best player, and he's to be fair to him, he's right as well. Yeah. He's had however many penalties, is it? Because he keeps getting fouled in the box. If you don't want to have pens, don't foul him in the box. It's as easy as that, isn't it? But Robertson there come out, and it's the team spirit thing, isn't it? Which it's invaluable. And that team spirit, when it's going well, is great. And if we do have a little blip, that will pull them through. So yeah, I'm all for that.
The whole narrative's mad, isn't it? I mean, we are boiling so much piss at the minute. It's over. I mean, the amount of fans who are coming out and arguing against what is the most stonewall pen you'll ever see. I mean, Chris Hughton comes out and says, pen.
Yeah, he was all right with it,
right? Manager saying nailed on pen. Yeah, some knobhead Everton fans going berserk because he thinks.
But also the players on the pitch, you know, the lad who commits the foul, he's not wafting his arms around. He's got that look on his face where, you know, he knows.
Because I pulled him back and kicked him in the box, it's a pen.
He's done them 2 or 3 times, hasn't he? And you know what? We weren't getting pens for a long, long time, and there was definitely something around.
The Spurs got more at Anfield than Liverpool did.
Absolutely. All of a sudden, we've had 3 or 4, and obviously it's been in close proximity, but we're a side that spends a lot of time in the box. We spend a lot of time in the opposition box because we're really good and we dominate possession, we dominate the football. So guess what? We're going to get more pens than, say, fucking Leicester or Palace or something.
Do you know what, though? It's funny, I've seen a stat, and we haven't. I think we've got 6 this season. Or 7 maybe, which is 1 less than Everton. And Everton have never been in the opposition box all season, as far as I can see, because they're absolutely shite, aren't they? You've got, I think it's Crystal Palace have had 12 penalties this season, because Zaha's thrown himself left, right and centre. I think City have had 2 or 3. Which, you know,
it's so, the Christmas thing, because we've had 4 since Crimbo is what I meant. But you're right, though.
But what I mean is,
thing.
I think it's the other way. I think normally you'd expect a bias towards the big teams. I think there's an active bias against the big teams now. And in the area, if a fair play to him, Sterling goes down, he's got to be shot before he's going to get a penalty. The way it was with Suarez for a little bit. But when Suarez first got it, he didn't get a penalty for like 12 months, and it was a thing then, wasn't it? We hadn't had a pen for a while. And then when he got his first one, it was like, oh yeah, he is getting fouled in the box. So as soon as one referee's done it, the rest of them follow suit. And I feel like it's a little bit like that now. But we're getting pens because it's fouls in the box. We're not getting pens because he's buying them.
Look at Vardy. Vardy tries to buy a pen. It hardly gets spoken about. He touched on it a little bit on Match of the Day. But if that had been Salah, you'd never heard the end of it.
Someone said they'd be bombing Egypt by now.
It'd certainly be all over the back pages of the paper, you know, it would be. But As it is, we're talking about Liverpool being top of the league. Fantastic time to be a Red. Nice one to the boys today for Second Look. There's loads more content out there, loads of podcasts, loads of stuff on the website, theanfieldapp.com. If you fancy having a go at the subscription podcast as well, have a go at that. Ian mentioned the post-match show from Brighton, recorded on the concourse straight after the match. Loads of love for that particular one. So if you've never had a go at the Anfield app, maybe now's the time. Have a listen to that and you know, lap up what it was like to be there when Liverpool went 7 points clear at the top of the league. Up the Reds, that's been the Second Look.